Well, here come your Netherlands Canadian farmers, for the most part. Round two, I guess, because Responsible Grain kind of pulled some shit before, and you caught them. So, but here we are, round two. Yeah, you ready? So here's what happened. At Ag in Motion, the federal ag minister came down there and looked really awkward standing around and talking to farmers because she has no idea, because what she actually owns is a campground, or part of a campground. That's what she's done. She's pushing some very interesting environmental programs at the meetings that just were held in Saskatoon with all the provincial agriculture ministers. So, what did they talk about? Now, I find it weird a little bit that the person that's pushing all of this environmental stuff, Bilbo, is what she does. The place where she's made her money is she is part owner of a campground. So, which means that they took the most pristine area around a lake, the nicest, most beautiful part of nature, where nature thrives, and she fucking bulldozed it all over the place so big diesel vehicles can pull 85-foot long fucking fifth wheelers and drop their toy hauler down and bang out some fucking quads and Sea-Doos and shit and rip the shit apart. That's what she does. That is how she made her money before. Now she's obviously getting just stealing taxpayer money because she doesn't do anything. She's fucking retarded. So it's hilarious that somebody that made their entire living off of ruining nature and encouraging people to fucking brap and burn shit up, that she is now telling farmers that she has no idea about. She has no clue. There's no way she knows anything about the industry. There's just not. It's awkward. Look at her. It's awkward. It's awkward to look at. It's hard to get an erection. I digress. Now, what they did in this meeting was they got awarded some money. So all the ministers were apparently quite happy. The provincial ministers were happy because they got $500 million extra from the government. So they're all like, whoa! Oh! So you didn't have to do anything for that. Here's the catch. Now, there's $3.5 billion given to the agriculture sector. And if you people understand what typically happens when government starts subsidizing a business, they essentially just own it. They're the ones that dole out who gets paid what. So the more money that gets dolled into this versus what should be the approach is less regulation, less costs in all of it to a farmer. Like, how come they give $500 million pretty quickly now? They didn't really care too much to subsidize that big fertilizer crisis. That didn't do anything because that's not how this is going to work. This is going to work a different way. So with that $500 million, there's a caveat to it. The caveat being they have a resilient agriculture landscape program that awards environmental stewardship. Now, that seems pretty loosely defined, that now they're going to give $500 million to people, the farmers, that depend on their land being healthy as it possibly can to grow the best crops that they possibly can. But now the government all of a sudden knows that they know better, and they're going to reward you for environmental stewardship, which actually means lower yields and less land. You're not going to be that's what it's going to be. So we'll see what happens here. That's one of them. That's going to be conservation easements. So if you give up some of your land as a conservation easement, they're going to pay you, some money to keep that out of crop production. In perpetuity, probably forever, for the rest of eternity, because that's what they do. It's a land grab. This is how I would steal land. Actually, how I would steal land would be that you get there's a ditch. Around every road is a ditch. And it has, well, I can't remember the length of a ditch. Like half a chain, 30 feet, something like that. Yeah, road's 2 chains. So, anyway, this I would just do it when that stuff is, when it's seeded, that's fair game. It's fair game. That land is now fair game. I could legally harvest that. It's in the ditch. Just like I could legally bale the ditch, I can legally harvest the ditch. So when that land gets gotten over, past a cop. Probably downloaded all the stuff on my phone. Oh, he saw that midget porn I was watching. No, he's staying there. He's probably watching it himself. So that land in the ditch, I could legally. I don't have a combine. You're lucky. You're a lucky, world. And I'm not a scumbag piece of shit. But I would go out there with my sickle. You know, at about midnight, I'd sickle the shit out of that. And I'd fucking tie it so tight. And then, like I'd let it dry. And people would be like, what's going on here? It's weird. Then the news crew would come. They'd be like, oh, something weird's happening. But it's just me with my sickle. And because, like, and then I'd have to let it, and then I would load it up on my carriage when nobody is suspecting it. But so anyway, I could be the ditch farmer. People be like, there's that fucking ditch farmer loser. People give me the finger, tell me fuck myself. I deserve it. I would deserve it. I would never do that though. That seems like a lot of work. I gotta buy my own land. But it may just come free when Canada becomes the Netherlands. So fuck, I forgot what I was talking about. What part next? Oh, the Resilient program. Yeah, so yeah, they're gonna award environmental stewardship, and we all know what that means. They're gonna just fucking steal your land. But there's more. Farms over $1 million net sales have to have a business risk management climate strategy to get any funding. So you got to build a business, and it's all going to be recorded, resilient, recorded. It's all recorded. Everything we do is recorded. So they're just gonna voluntarily give it up, and then instead of them just stealing it. Oh yeah. So then there's also a business risk management that pilot program coming out for climate strategies. And so each province will get their own pilot program for this business risk management piece. Oh, so fucking stupid. Like, this is so dumb. It's just so obvious. That's the thing that really gets me, is this is so obvious. This is just, they're not even hiding what they're doing. Like, they're just like, okay, here's some money. We're gonna fuck your shit up. We don't want you to plant anything over there. And like, nah, you gotta use these. You can't use these, and you have to use these. And where does that lead to? It leads to people going broke. I'm gonna just wait for this. Like, I would not play this game. This is ridiculous. This is so dumb. All this stuff. And like your provincial agriculture ministers they're just like, yeah, fuck yeah, this is awesome. Let's keep going. They're, seem to be quite happy about all this. But it's a joke. It's a fucking joke. So yeah, I guess everyone can play along. That's fine. I gotta see when I'm gonna jump back into, I'll jump back into agriculture. I love it. I love agriculture. It just sucks that, like, all the people that are gonna play along and get incentivized and everything, they're gonna be all the people that are fucked. So, like, does a person wait? Because you're gonna become so dependent on government for everything, because it's not gonna yield anything. It's not gonna yield like it should. All these programs and all these caveats that they're gonna make necessary, because they don't know anything about it. Look. They don't know anything about this. But here's the last one. Here's my favorite one. the last thing that they agreed on versus, the funding that rewards people for giving up their land and farming like shit. Because why would you, if there was a way, when the land produces your paycheck every year, and if there was a more sustainable way and a better way to increase your yield and make your land healthier, that's what everybody is doing. That's what farming essentially is. It's making everything better so you can produce a better yield. So why do they think that farmers aren't interested in taking care of the land, and now it's up to the government to take care of the land? So now you're getting money to listen to the government, to do the government's environmental stewardship program. It's just wild. Yeah. So the last one is farmers are reducing their carbon dioxide equivalent by 5 megatons. All the farmers in Canada produce 50 megatons. So they want all the farmers to reduce, and the provincial agriculture ministers agreed to this. They want, that doesn't look very good. Everyone to reduce their environmental by 5, so that's a 10% reduction. No, it's not just a 10%. People think, oh, okay, well, yeah, fertilizer reduction. They agreed to this, by the way, ministers. It's not just 5. It's not just 10% reduction of use in fertilizer. It's a 10% reduction in everything. In the amount of fuel you use, in the amount of land that you seed, in the amount of everything. It's everything. And if you were to put that just into fertilizer, say you want to get all your farm CO2 equivalent reduction done just in fertilizer, that would be like a 40% reduction. Like, it's a high number. Okay, I didn't figure it out exactly because I haven't sat down yet to figure it out, but I could. And maybe I should. But it's all your emissions reduced by 10%. Think about, so they're talking about emissions in just fertilizer. Which fertilizer, where is it seeping in the prairies? Where is it going? Where is it going? What are the chances of it making it past the root zone? First of all, next to nothing. Now, why what do you put polymers on there to have it slowly absorb into the soil? You could do that. But in the bald ass prairies where there's nothing around, what is that doing? What is that polluting? It can't even go anywhere. Is it going into a slough? A slough that when it is dry, that 1 year, you're lucky, gets like fucking 6,000 bushels an acre, and then it's wet again for the next 15 years? Is that what we're talking about? Is that where it's going? I don't know. I honestly don't know. But anyway, buckle up. It's your provinces just agreed to some very drastic reductions. All your funding is going into environmental stewardship programs, which means the only way to lower the emissions 10% is to reduce 10% of the land that you farm. And I assume that's what they're going to do, because they said 30 by 30, but they also want to turn 30% reduction in fertilizer by 2030, but they also want to take the amount of farmland and turn it into grassland. They want 30% of that back into grassland. And it's 25 by 25. By 2025, they want to turn 25% of the land back into grassland. Well, so they want you to reduce your CO2, which increases yield. Apparently CO2 is a poison. It's poison. Lowest CO2. Did they ever mention that at 160 parts per million, everything dies and everyone here dies? Now, are we closer to 106? We're at 400 or 420 or something, 430. Are we close? And like the tolerance of CO2 before dying is something like 20,000 parts per million, or even higher than that for a sustained amount of time. So are we closer to say 20,000 parts per million, or are we closer to 160? And we're at 400-ish, just over 400, 440. Like, we are far closer to fucking dying from too little CO2 than we are from too much CO2. And CO2 increases yield. Increases yield up to 30%. It also means, with higher CO2, you need less, get the sun in my fucking eyes, you need less water. So if you're in a drought and you have a higher CO2, it's more drought resilient. Also, you get bigger, fatter seeds. So you don't get more. It doesn't change. CO2 doesn't change it that way. It increases your yield, the size of it, not how many seeds you have. So you get bigger, plumper. It's like the Earth has a built-in system. When shit gets fucked up, it finds its own place where it's like, oh boy, too bad the Earth doesn't know what it's doing, and fucking people are here to jam CO2 under the fucking ground, which is absolutely absurd to me. So absurd that we've made a natural thing a toxic product. It's just fucking wild. It's like this stuff could improve everything. Like, trees could grow bigger, crops. It naturally greens itself. It naturally does it. And also, what happened during the lockdowns when CO2 emissions went down, the Earth actually heated up. It got hotter. So it works like this. If they try to reduce the CO2 and it gets hotter, they go, oh, we got to reduce more CO2. And it's all a fucking LARP. People that believe this are fucking retards. They just are. They probably have a fucking Tesla they're waiting to buy too, which is absolutely retarded as well. The fear is the problem. People are scared, and people are scared to stand up for themselves and stand up for their industry that feeds them. And when all the fucking people are broke from not standing up and fucking, your crops aren't yielding shit because you took your new CRISPR crop that's more drought resistant, little did you know, it just fucking takes all the nutrients, or puts in a nutrient that you don't want, or fucks something up, because that's what CRISPR does. Anyway, I sidewinded there. I forgot what I was talking about. I was mad about CO2. Fuck, my beard is nice. Whoa, CO2. Oh, that's not a pollutant. Oh, so they use fear. Because if you're scared, you're irrational. Because if you think about it, it's like when people get scared, and like say you get chased. What happens? What do people do? They stop. So if they're getting chased by a murderer and they're terrified, they stop. And then they go like, well, why did you stop? They go, I don't know. So if you're in a perpetual state of fear all the time, and people are going, why are you stopping? People go, I don't know, because it's irrational. They scare the shit out of everybody, thinking that the fucking world's gonna end. Like, your piddly dinky fucking life is gonna change any of that. It's not. So you're gonna die and be like, oh yeah, he tried. Well, he tried. They tried. Tried what? Nobody knows, because there's nothing to prove. The science, there's no science behind this. But every fucking agriculture business and everybody's on board, and they're all fucking jerking each other off. Yeah, come on, everybody, let's our sustainability. Everyone's happy to 69 each other. Oh, I'm ranting. I hate making long videos because I'm more like a short format person, because nobody sticks around to the end of these things. Yeah, people get bored. That's why I can't do YouTube. Well, I can't do YouTube because I'm banned from everything all the time. I don't even know where I'm going to put this one. So, water vapor. It's like, What? You need something to heat it up. You need something to heat stuff up, right? And you need a medium to heat up. And the hottest medium is the medium that can absorb the most heat. Now, water vapor absorbs far more heat than CO2. It seems like everybody that goes raw in this, in the agriculture industry, that is all on board with this, it's like a porn star shooting himself in the dick. And then wondering why he can't make money doing porn. That's what's happening now. That's what we're watching. It's painful to watch. But in the end, all that porn star can now do is get fucked in the ass. That's exactly what's happening. Oh man. Anyway, that's the end.